Hey YouTube, welcome back. The wife is here again with me today. We're finishing up our two-part series on the pros and cons of the realities of pros and cons of living off the grid. We have 6 topics that we like to talk about. Our sixth one is probably the most important, especially on the cons. The cons outweigh the pros, but like we said in our previous video, the pros outweigh the cons by far.
Yeah.
The mountains. Right?
Yep.
So let's get started. Away from the city. There's no local conveniences.
There's no local gas station, Walmart, Walgreens, anything like that. So if you need food or medical or gas or anything like that, it's not right there.
Yep. So it takes a long time to get there and a long time back. We live 30 miles away. 30 miles north, there's a town, a big city with all your major stuff. 30 miles south, there's a major town, a lot of the same stuff. And 30 miles east, there's the same size of town.
Mm-hmm.
So we're directly in the middle, which is great for everything, but you're away from the city, which leads to high miles on cars. Last year, what'd you say you put on?
36,000.
Yep, 36,000 miles. So we decided to go with like $1,200 cars. They last for about a year to 2 years. When I say $1,200 car, I mean that goes anywhere up to $1,750. And if something breaks on them, have a transmission, something go out, you just scrap the car.
Trade it out for a different $1,200 vehicle.
Yep. Fix the alternators, fix the little stuff, but the big stuff, just toss it.
Yep.
There's plenty of them out there. It takes time to get home, living away out in the middle of nowhere. So your safety and security and your traveling. If you work 12-hour days and you travel home and it's 30 miles one way and 30 miles the other way, that's at least 13, 14-hour days. So you got to be worried about not only your safety getting home,
but you have to worry about the other people who may or may not be on the road at that time of the night as you are.
So if you fall asleep,
you don't want to hit somebody, take out somebody's family,
that would
or
suck.
that would just
I could
be
never
horrible.
live with that.
No.
Also, with being away from everybody, is your security's down. I mean, if you look around our homestead and stuff, if somebody wanted, like, crimes out here are very few, but it's mostly all thieves, because there's nothing down here to protect them. So you have to take care of your own security.
Yeah, there's no local cop or sheriff that comes around, 3 or 4 times a day. It's once every
week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks if
maybe
you're lucky.
Which ain't bad.
No, it's not a bad thing.
Because we're all pretty much
sustaining out here.
Self-policed.
Self-police, yeah.
Policed out here, so we handle a lot of our own business if there's a domestic or something.
But there's generally not a lot of
it's really
mishaps down here. It is very peaceful.
And also with your security being down, your time response for your emergency responders is down. So if you do have something that goes on, you're looking at 15-20 minutes, or if there's a fire. We do have a local volunteer fire department, but who's to say it's all going to get down here in time and everything else. So if you have a medical condition or you
have to wait for the next bigger town to get to you. It's going to take 15-20 minutes, even longer. Depends.
Yep.
And that's a long time.
So you better be medically prepped.
At least go get your basic first aid, CPR. Go. Get in a class. Take the most basic you can.
If you have medications, double up on them.
Yep.
I mean, not double up taking them, but double up your supply of them.
Have a backup stock.
Yeah, and that gets us into the next thing, the weather. Traveling, the weather down here, people might lose their electricity. We won't, fortunately, but they might lose their electricity for months and months and months if they go on grid, but they live out in the country. Or not months, but like weeks, a couple weeks at a time. Ice storm, just a few years ago, took it out for 2 weeks. People were freaking out. Another reason why we went off the grid. Traffic. I mean, you can't drive in the weather. A lot of times these roads don't get plowed. They're like the last resort. And if you live on a dirt road, you're really last resort.
But I mean, traveling to and from, you got to take that into account. During the daytime, you may be able to travel to these bigger towns or cities.
During snow.
Take care of what you got to take care of. If it's a bad day, weather-wise, winter or anything like that. But then you got to consider coming home at night.
Nobody on the
There's
roads.
no one on the roads. You may pass a semi here and there, maybe an occasional driver, but you're lucky if you even see one other person on the road. And if you yourself goes off the road, who's to say somebody's going to see you or come by, or maybe a few hours, I know
They digged up a worm.
they dug up a worm, and now they're,
Nightcrawler.
get it, girls, get it. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Chickens being chickens. It's awesome. See? Humble.
Yep. So electric. This is what we're on our number 2. Electric. It all depends on how much money you want to have, or you have, and how bad do you want or need it. Some people, like I said before in the previous video, don't need a lot of it. Some people don't use it at all.
And some people feel they need every ounce of electricity they can have.
Like a coffee pot, toaster, blow dryer,
Microwave.
microwave. I mean, just things that drain your electricity like crazy, and people don't even understand how much they actually use, and they bitch about their electricity bill. I'm like, whatever, dude. Yeah, to get into a subject on that, I'm going to digress on this, but to figure out your watts, you take your voltage times your amperage, and that equals your watts. So, a little digression, but if you're counting watts and everything else on the video or on stuff, just figure it out. If you run off a battery bank with only a generator that charges the batteries like we first did, you have to go out there and start the generator in the middle of winter and the middle of summer. And sometimes those things, it doesn't matter. If it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's 20 degrees below zero, if it's 90, 100 degrees above zero. I mean, you have to get that. If you want electricity, you have to get that thing started, and you have to charge up the battery bank.
And they can be very temperamental. They do not want to work, and you're going to get frustrated. But if you want power, you have to suck it up, and you have to...
We're on our 2nd generator right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to be
And the
sustainable.
elements take a toll on the generators as well. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just run it all the time. No, you can't do that.
Yep.
It does not work that way.
And windmills and solar panels and everything breaks. Everything needs not private messages.
Preventative maintenance.
I saw PMs. We have a list, and I'm reading off the list, and it's PMs, private message. No.
Excuse me.
And you have to have checklists on your daily
Preventative maintenance on them. You also have to have
monthly.
your standard operating procedures, your SOPs. Make sure those are...
Everybody knows how to
Yep.
do it. Everybody knows how to do it. Okay, number 3 is wood heat. Wood. Now, this is the key thing. Everybody's like, oh, we're going to get a wood stove. Okay, fine. Choice selection of different hardnesses of wood. Long burning or short burning. And it also depends on the size of stove you have. Because the homes that need big fireplaces, you can put in bigger logs. The stoves that are little fireplaces need little logs. So if you put in really, really hard wood, but they're little logs, it's still going to take the same amount of time to get them started. So it's almost a science on how to do it. Mixing and matching and knowing your woods and everything else. You're going to have to know your woods and the properties, how they burn. Like what you were saying earlier, is wet and rotten wood.
Oh my gosh. If your wood is wet, no, you might as well just...
The way we came up with it, the idea, if it's too ugly to burn, or too ugly to burn and make some food off of it, like for a real fire.
Like if we're not willing to have it in a barbecue pit or something like that or anything, toss it.
Yeah, we won't burn it in our stove.
Yep.
It causes too much problems long term.
Yep.
To burn that crap. So get rid of it. And your wood storage, you have to be smart about it. You might think that this is one way it's going to happen. The best way we know is a wood shed or a garage.
Stack it up, keep it out of the elements, keep it away from...
Last year we had it underneath the pine trees right over here, on the pallets and stuff. And it worked for the most part, but it still got wet.
It did.
And it didn't really keep it dry. I mean, because when it rained or something, it would soak through and everything else.
It would collect the moisture that would collect underneath the tarp
The
that
dew.
was covering it. So even though we took all the preventative measures at that time for us
Outside.
that we could, It's still
Better
got
to be inside.
wet. Yes.
Cutting and splitting, safety. I mean, you have to be. I mean, look at me. Here's one. A tree will chop. If you chop down a tree, it's gonna knock you on your ass.
It'll take you down with it.
I'm firsthand. You guys should see that video. So you have to be safe about it. I mean, again, you're so far from town, you got to be safe. You have to be in shape. If you're not in shape and you come out here and you're a big person, our neighbor right behind us, he's a big guy, but guess what he does? He sits on his lawnmower and he does his chores. But you have to be pretty much in shape. Anybody can do it, but it's a
You
willingness.
still have to be self-reliant.
Yep.
Whether that means being on a motorized cart or not, you still got to do it.
So if you say you can't do it, I'll show you a guy. I'll interview a guy right down my next door neighbor, and he's 400 or 500 pounds.
At least, yeah.
But he does it. He gardens and he rolls around, and it's funny because it's kind of like Humpty Dumpty. But it's I'm not making fun of anybody, but
if he can do it,
there's no
being
reason no one
his
else can.
size and making it happen, then I don't want to hear the whines and bitches of people that say I did too much work. Then
Whatever.
this is not. Then this, if you honestly feel that it's too much for you, this is not the lifestyle.
But it is
for
hard
you.
work.
It is.
It's very, very hard work, but it's so rewarding.
If you want to put the hard work into it, it will reward you.
Yep.
If not, move on.
Yep. Keep it on a wood stove versus a fireplace. I hope the wind isn't getting too bad. I hate to do this video and have it go out. But how to burn wood.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm still learning. The first time we moved into our tiny house, long story short, I was so excited to start the wood stove. I was like, okay, I'm going to start this. It took me 4 hours
Before she gave up.
before I was like, I can't do it. And now I can get the wood stove started within about 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it's night and day difference. It just takes time. It takes time. Maintenance, cleaning the stove and chimney. I mean, you have to do all that. That's a regular maintenance thing. And the more things that you have, the more things that you have responsibilities on. It's more of a job than what people think it is. It's a lot of responsibilities. But it's worth it. Like we said, bugs and dust. When you bring that wood into your house, bugs live in that little wood, and if it's cold out, they're going to nest and burrow in there and everything else, like the what do you call those things? Grubs between the bark and the actual wood. Bugs burrow into that area.
little box elder bugs that live in there and things like that too. So,
Yep.
If you're the type that, oh my God, I can't have a bug in my house again.
Yeah, wood burning is probably not for you.
No,
And
find a
dusting,
different.
you have to do it 2 times a week to keep it. Bless you.
Pardon me. Sorry for the camera.
But yeah, it's
But you will have the dust and the bugs, and it's just something
And smoke.
that
You're gonna
comes
have a
with the
backdraft.
territory. Yes, backdraft is something you have to worry about.
yep, and you'll learn about that and stuff like that. Safety though with fires is number one. You don't want your house
Absolutely.
to burn down, especially in the middle of freezing cold temperatures.
Make sure you have a fire extinguisher
And
close
carbon
and
monoxide.
accessible, and a carbon monoxide tester.
Yep. Okay, the next one, number 4, water. Water is kind of a pro and a con to this. You can haul it in by going into town and buying bottled water. That's what we did when we first started. You can also, but that takes money and time and everything else. You can also build a rainwater catchment system, which takes maintenance and cleaning. Every time after it rains, you have to go and flush the system out. Like last year, I would suggest, after doing it with a rainwater catchment system for a year, go with steel or
Yeah.
aluminum gutters instead of plastic. Or if you do, use a lot of clamps. And I'll do a video on that, a review on that. Different things you can learn about that. Your well, it may not work. Do you have a hand pump? Do you have a backup plan to get the water from the well? And how deep is your well? Okay, those are some questions that you want to think of too. Filtrations. Can you replace the filter if you're using a water filterization thing? Can you replace the filter? Are they readily accessible? Do you need to keep a supply? Did you buy a filtration system
Right?
that only takes one brand? And if you don't have that specific brand and it's not a very popular brand because it was cheap, is that a place going to still be in business in the next few years? Or there's a lot of things
Oh,
to look
yes.
at.
There's a lot of different things.
And if you can't find a filter, how purified is water if no filter is there? I mean, can you drink it safely? Is there ways to test, ways that you can test your water, your well water, etc.? Testing your water, or have you done it? Again, more private messages.
PMs.
Preventive maintenance.
You always gotta maintain and service your things so they run the best that they can for you.
Yep. But again, and go back to the pros. The payoff is a lot better.
The payoff is what you make of it.
Yep. Number 5, foods. Food is a big thing. Planting the garden, tilling, seeding.
15 minutes.
Okay. Tilling, seeding, weeds, harvest. This is back-breaking work at times.
Yes, it is.
I mean, when they bitch about a bad back in the olden days, I know exactly what the hell they're talking about.
Yep.
Weather. Chores have to get done. Also with weather is, can you put your livestock, like these girls, can you put them somewhere to be safe? If you have water,
If you have other, let's say you leave your chickens out, what if a raccoon comes or something like
Yep.
that? Are they going to be protected from
Yep.
the other prey?
you get 2 feet of snow, your chores still have to get done.
Yeah.
If you are monsoon season or whatever,
You
your chores
still have to get done.
Chores do not know. Bugs, varmints, and deer. Bugs, I mean, these critters are going to eat a lot of the bugs, but I mean, with a homestead, you're going to have a lot more bugs, bees, stuff like that, which
Right.
is great. And
But you have to be
varmints.
able to utilize your livestock to help maintain the bugs.
Yep, and like a pesticide
Yep.
or a anti-pesticide. Pesticides. Or
You can
whatever
also
they're
do
called.
natural pesticides. There's
Yep.
all kinds out there. Just look them up.
Yep. So there's a lot of knowledge you have to do about gardening and stuff
Oh,
like
yes.
that. Varmints, keeping your livestock safe. Deer, they're a big animal, and they eat our trees.
They eat our trees, certain things in our garden. They
How do
take
you
out.
deter them?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So that's different other things that you have to worry about. When planting, you need space for your garden to grow. There's certain things that you can't plant around other things because it'll strangle them off and everything else.
And we learned that last year. So
Yep.
spacing. I mean, when it says 12 to 15 inches apart, you put them 12 to 15 inches apart at least.
Yep. Watering.
Yep.
Your drought. If you have a drought or if you have not enough water, the more bigger the garden is, the more bigger or more amount of livestock you have.
The more water you're
the
going to
more-
use.
Yep. So can your well support it? Is it so many feet deep and it's a shallow well and it's going to dry out real quick, or is it really deep and really clean water? I mean, it all gets back. It's a big cycle. Food storage. How to store your food that you grew. How do you store the food that you grew? Do you know how to? Do you know it takes a lot of time to store your food?
You have to can it and
Dehydrate it,
and then you have to store. Yep.
and everything else. And gets in your. We're still talking about our food, but plants. What kind do you want? We suggest the foods that you eat. Are they heirloom? Will they grow back over time, or do you have to keep on replanting them? Like trees, like our fruit trees, asparagus, medical plants versus plants for food, plants for livestock.
Yep.
Speaking of livestock, we have to food and water them every day.
So it depends how many different styles of livestock do you have. Are you able to sustain their food and water needs as well?
Yep. There are no vacations. Hey guys. There are no vacations. If you have a cow and you milk her, you have to milk her 2 times a day. Our neighbor right there in that house, he has a little homestead himself. He has 5 acres right there. But he has 2 milker heifers. And he has to be there every day, 2 times a day. There is no vacations for this stuff.
No.
So you want to make your homestead as beautiful.
And you have to commit to it. You have to commit to the hard work it's going to take to make it happen.
And it takes years. But you want to make it as beautiful so you don't want to go anywhere. So
Yep.
everything you
make
think
it
of,
your own little oasis, so
That's
that
what
way
we're
it's
doing.
right there.
Yep. Have ponds, have different things, but it takes time.
It does.
And that's the thing that people have to understand.
Patience and hard work.
Rome wasn't built in a year, and neither will your homestead.
No.
Okay. This is the most important. I hope you guys, what are we at?
20.
20 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. This is a long video. But this is the most important one that we wanted to talk about that people really don't address here on YouTube. Friends, family, and acquaintances is our last one. This is the most important and surprising. Okay. At first, when we talked to our friends about living off the grid, half of it liked it, and half of us thought that we were nuts.
Oh, they thought we lost our mind.
The ones that liked it, liked the idea, friends that live close to us, say they would help out. We're not saying like Facebook friends.
We're talking people that are like friends that we've known for years that live within a close proximity of 20, 30, 40 miles of us, within like an earshot.
Because we live 30 miles away from this property when we bought it. And the friends that we had up living in that town were like, yeah, this will be great and everything else. And some of them were like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, we'll come down, we'll help you out, or you're nuts. What are you thinking?
Yep. So they said they would help us out and everything. So when we first moved down here, after we made a commitment and said, you know what, screw it, that's it, we're going off to Greta. Like Little Caesars.
Right.
But when we first moved down here, all of our friends were never around. The people that said, oh, we'll help you do this, we'll help you
Whatever
do this.
you need, I'll come down and help.
Yep. They were never around. And they have all the knowledge on how to do it. They have all the advice on how to do it and just be like, blah, 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 blah. But they were never around. Some of the ideas were good. I mean, honestly, they were. There was probably about maybe a quarter of their ideas.
About a quarter, yeah.
Of their ideas were good, but over time, not so much. They didn't really know what they were doing because it's a different lifestyle of how to live off the grid. So, but the people around here in our own community now,
Oh, yeah.
since day one, and this is no joke, since day one, they have been more helping and more
supportive and more
everything than anybody could ever imagine.
This community has been an absolute gem to us.
And I've heard a lot of people say that too on one of the pros on because what we were saying before, but it seems like everybody wants to help out. And that was amazing to us. We learned more from them than we did from anyone else. And after a while, since we've been here now for almost 2 years, a year and a half, after a while, if we didn't take some people's suggestions, they would quit talking to us. Like some of our former friends and some of the people that were supportive of us before.
They would get their undies in a bunch and get butthurt feelings.
Got all butthurt. Because they knew best, quote unquote. They knew best.
And if we didn't take their advice or do what they said, they would just be like, well, fine.
Yep, and they get
they would cut us off.
Psycho. Like
they would get
mad.
very upset, and they would just, I don't know.
And then also is, then when people actually see what you do and how you live, they either love it or they hate it. The people that are like, oh, okay, we're going to come down and see you and everything else. Then you have some people that are like, you guys are freaking nuts for doing this. Or they're like, dude, I could so do this and I want to do it. And we have people messaging us and stuff like that, asking to do this. Our friends, and they're like, you're so inspiring and whatever.
But making a homestead comes with huge commitment and responsibility, and you have to be willing to be able to take that on.
And a lot of people cannot do that.
And you have to have the want to do it, because if not,
it ain't gonna happen by itself.
Your homestead's only going to be as good as you make it.
You can't plant a seed and expect it to grow. You have to work that baby, just like kids. And the number one thing that we found out about all this is your family members are usually the ones that turn on you and freak out the worst. They do. This is the second time we've done this. now. We had a 10-acre parcel up in northern Minnesota, 5 miles from the Canadian border, and her family freaked out on her.
They got us.
Yeah.
They got our land taken away. Long story short, there is a video somewhere out there that explains a little bit more if you're interested.
I don't know if you can find it, but
Dig
it is
into
what
the
it is.
videos. Otherwise, but just know that this is
And
not the first time we've done this.
We took 2.5, 3 years off.
Yep.
Because that
And we
happened in 2012.
Yep, and we replanned and what we thought, and we
learned a lot from it.
we weren't even
this is a
sure that
learning
we were going to
experience.
come back and do it again. But you know what? We were like, no, this is what we want. This is what we
Inflation's getting
for.
too high.
outrageous.
And there's nothing predictable anymore in this world, and it's only what you can predict out of it. So I know this is a long video, guys, so thanks for watching. I hope you guys learned something. This is after a year and a half of the pros and cons that we have found out. Go ahead, and if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and do so. And to my subscribers out there, hey, thanks, guys. We appreciate your patronage.
Thank you.
Yep, and I hope everyone has a great day. Like, share. If you think people are going to get some use out of this, I hope it helps out. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.